It's just,
Yeah, exactly. That's really an encouragement. Okay,
so in answer to your question there around how, when I got out of the course and where I feel I'm going to be implementing some skill sets.
yes.
I got a lot of the course as far as, what my initial intention coming in here was to be able to assist people at a greater level for themselves, helping them get traction and get to a resourceful state. I didn't know how to label it at that time, what I was looking for, but I feel that I'm light years ahead of when I stepped in to be able to do that effectively for people.
Okay, which skill sets are you applying to actually bring that traction?
The three magic words, what specifically might you do now or what might you do differently, those kind of phrases are very important, I think, that have been very influential in me being able to assist people in that respect. So those are ingrained in me quite well now, and
Yes.
I use them on a consistent basis, and I also use them for myself. So I find that to be very helpful. And then, I relate that to question concepts, and that's, around, what's and how's, and, really getting people to a state of, what might they do and how might they do it. So actually the implementation piece. So, and then setting a framework for space-time for that to happen. So, asking a question if there's when might you be able to do that, or when might you get it accomplished by, seeking some commitment around it for the individual, not necessarily for myself, but just so that, there's actual ownership that they may take in that particular, on whatever instance we may be discussing.
Okay, super.
So I find it very effective.
Any specific area where you would like me to fill you in on gaps that you perceive
Gaps that I perceive.
in yourself? Where would be your largest point of growth for you right now?
I think for me, I would like to be able to, similar to like, John was discussing earlier, how he's able to run through a do loop and a lot of the different systems on a frequent basis and just kind of get to that point faster.
Yes.
So I'd like to increase the speed and the acceleration of getting to a point where, I'm doing that effectively.
Right.
On a regular basis.
Okay. What I just did here is I actually moved you through what I thought might be your, I sort of cheated here. I profiled you.
Yes.
Okay, and I thought that might be your gap. And in this case in particular, what I'm doing is by focusing you on your points of improvement, how rapidly were you able to actually do what you just did with me, that fast? My biggest gap with you right now is you not recognizing the skill sets at a conscious level, so you don't trigger yourself consciously. Not that you don't have them, not that you can't. It's that you just don't trust yourself well enough to do what I just did. All I had to do was ask you the question, and you did it that fast. Literally, you just did it. What's stopping you? What's getting you in the way? Nothing. There's nothing except you doing it.
Okay.
Okay, that's my whole point here is, I look at all of this, yes, there are points of improvement. We could look at stacking, we could look at you being able to break down the layering, we could do way more advanced stuff than what we're doing, but until you get through your own mind about getting yourself operationalizing these things consciously, all the rest of the stuff is great in theory, but it doesn't give you any more traction. And then you turn around, you look at John and you go, man, I really love what he does. All he needed to do was start trusting his own ability to do that. And that was it. That's one of the biggest gaps that I see for you. You've got all of this potential, and you feel all of this potential. Before you came in here, while you're in here and going from here, it's like you've been able to capture 60% of your potential that was 100% potential before. You feel like you've got like 60% of it. And now all of a sudden it's this last 40%. And it's like still all just like itching to get out. And how do you do that? Well,
I was actually doing it.
yeah, you were actually doing it, and yet you write it off. What about balanced fair self-evaluation? Of being honest with yourself when you're actually doing it well.
I write that down.
Yeah, please. I mean, you gotta just trust yourself, be honest, and take the risks. And it's like you don't believe yourself, but when you're doing it for somebody else, you'll believe that more than you'll believe applying it to yourself. And so that's my biggest point of growth for you. I mean, you can go miles, as you saw John, as you see yourself, going miles already, but you can go many, many, many more miles on what you could do by applying the skill sets of yourself that way. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, and I know that's the case already.
Yeah.
It's the conscious consciously doing it, so.
So what might you do differently now?
I'm just gonna ask that question for you
I
myself.
beat you to it. I saw you.
Which would be exactly the process like we're talking about.
Sorry.
And
2 minutes ago.
Okay.
what I would do is actually just take a look at some of the key skill sets that I like, that I know I'm implementing very well now, and actually take, chunk that down. What pieces do I want to use right now? And say, you know what, for this week, this is the piece that I'm going to work on for me, myself.
Great.
And just do it.
So setting objectives, setting the
Yeah.
skill set,
Yeah,
and practice.
and actually practicing it, but not just practicing it with others, practicing it with me.
Great.
So that one piece, and then, okay, that's good, I've got that down, on to the next.
Can you review that by setting it up either a day or a week?
Do an IVR.
And thank you. Exactly what I shared before. Do that IVR.
Yes, I can.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Will you let me know how that goes?
I believe we'll have to take you out for lunch and let you know how that goes.
Great, I love that. I really would. Thanks so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.